Oh, who would be a Wolves fan, eh?
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're listening to this. This is your Wolves review show of the Wolves 0, Brighton 2, home defeat in the Premier League, and sort of what was a nothing game. But joining me to talk about it and talk about some of the positives actually around the game is Stu, Rich Griffiths, and Gav. Comes to you first, Stu. I mean, this whole season's sort of petering out now. We had our nice little run. We've had our nice moments. A couple of back-to-back defeats in sort of meaningless, nothingness games. It's everyone's on the beach ready to, well, start the pre-season essentially.
It's just Brighton, isn't it? It's every single time. And it's hello everyone. It's not even the Brighton. It's the blue and white stripe curse. The whole thing. Blah blah blah. We've done it ad nauseum over and over again on here. You think, oh, will this time be different? Nah, it won't be. The plus point of yesterday was seeing Jaffa rocking up, looking very American, very on brand in the Emerald Club. With these looking, he almost looked like a man lion, if you can kind of picture that kind of thing. It was almost like it was a dig at me. The amount of sheer hair on display, the other side of the table from me. Yeah, we're nice to see Jaffa. Yeah, it was shit. it was boring. It was the first, when we'll get into it anyway, but it was the first time in a long time when I checked my watch and there was 15 minutes left. I thought, oh no. And that was in the subs were the subs. I mean, making 4 was the last time, if ever, we've made 4 at one go, which was kind of broken because they had to have one in between, which was kind of ruined the flow. But I can't think of any time when we've done that early in the game anyway, at least.
Yeah, you mentioned it straight away, and I think I'll go straight into it. Was having slightly different feeling about the game, slightly different going into it, and I mean we had that with the lineup. Rich, I mean, out of the cold comes Gonzalo Guedes for a start. I kind of feel for him because of the fact that he's not played for several months. He's coming in, he's expected to fill in for Jurgen Strand-Larsen, who's back fit, who's been absolutely on fire recently. Did you expect much of Guedes, and were you surprised to see him starting in this game?
I've never really expected much from him, to be honest. I know there's a certain person here that loves him, but he's, to be fair, this year he's been all right for us. He's actually been not too bad as a player, but yeah, it was a surprise one, to be honest. You would have thought Bellegarde, but again, maybe he needed a bit of a rest. Strand-Larsen maybe again just resting, just to make sure he's 100%. But yeah, for whatever he's said and done, he's patched up with a gaffer. Clearly, he's training harder. So yeah, he gets the nod. So obviously, trust the gaffer to get it right. But yeah, it is what it is. I suppose it is a bit of a surprising one. But again, not much else changed as usual with it. It's just him really in. And so
yeah, I mean, talking about coming towards the end of the season, Gav, obviously we're preparing for next season. We need to know whether players are going to want to be here or are actually going to be part of Vitor Pereira's future.
Yeah.
Is it important going into, say, this game against Brighton and then the games that are left that we test sort of players like Guedes and we see players who maybe haven't got minutes? I mean, we'll talk about Matheus Mane getting his debut later, but seeing these players sort of get tested and seeing where the lay of the land is going into the summer, it's very important. And then the results might not be important, but the minutes for these players are very important in their futures for this club.
Yeah, exactly. I think, this is a good opportunity now. Obviously Brighton's done, but we've got Palace and Brentford coming up. This is going to be a good opportunity for Pereira to, like you say, give people a go in positions that maybe they haven't played this season, but you feel that they might play next season. So, for example, Rodrigo Gomez, I think there's someone like him. We don't know if he's going to be a wing back. Some people think he might be a winger. So this is a good opportunity now to throw him into these positions and see which one suits him the most. Just for an example.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And the ones that sort of looking at the way that the game start, it was very much a typical Stu of Vitor Pereira. There was a lot of energy going into it, running straight away for the likes of Marshall Monetsi, pushing from the front, even from Guedes as well. We started well and created quite a few chances, but I think that sort of legginess from a few players sort of showed, didn't it, in the first few chances that we had?
Yeah, I think that first 10, 15 minutes was probably our best section of the entire game. And it's no surprise that when it's even remotely warm in this country, that our style of play, like it is, completely drops off a cliff. And it wasn't the case of it being uncomfortable yesterday. It was just, what was it, about 19, 20, something like that? It wasn't over the top, but when you are in that situation, when you are in the dying ends of the season and with almost nothing to play for but pride and a few million quid in the bank for positional places, it's almost like in their heads they think, well, okay, we didn't get anything in the first 15 minutes. Let's not try anymore. That's kind of what it felt like. And just, I think you summed it up, the laziness of the shots and just getting in the right thing in the right position at the end of it. It's like, it's just not quite there. But neither is it for the fans either. Like, no one seemed to be asked.
Yeah, I see that. And I think sort of before we talk about Cunha's madness, I mean, Minte did have the ball in the back of the net, Rich. And I think that whole goal sort of summed up that laziness that Stu's talking about. And there is going into this that there was a feeling that nobody really cared about the result. It's just turning up, enjoying the weather, having a good day at Molineux, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think the 5 in a row was such a boost for the club and the fans to how we've been the last, 6-8 months, whatever. I think it just all rolled into one. Obviously, going to City was, it was an okay performance, but not great. And then, yeah, it's kind of been a frustration. I know, Stu said they're a bit of a bogey team for us. They're a bit of one of them. They're our team to play at the best times. But, yeah, they just average, flat. Yeah, I think, again, you've already said it, they're all on our days, aren't they, really? It's the last few games of the season. We're not going to gain anything other than a couple of extra million quid, as Stu said. So what have they really got to play for? Gav might be right with the fact that they've got, positions maybe they can swap around next year and play. But, yeah, we say it's pretty flat by what we say yesterday, performance-wise. But we've asked a lot of them for the last, couple of months, and they've produced. I'll give them that. So, yeah, the drop-off's got to be there, I guess, at some point because they can't sustain that, really. So, yeah, it's a bit of a frustration of a game, really.
Yeah. And in a moment that reminded me of, I just thought of it off the top of my head randomly, it was David Davis and Ikeme with the short passing and it just all been a bit of a clusterfuck, Gav. And we had that moment with Cunha and the ball was passed into him. His touch wasn't that great. And then he gets away from him and he pulls down, brings down the Brighton forward. And in a stroke of luck, we have the double jeopardy rule and he's not red carded. But, I mean, talk me through it, Gav. I mean, I know you love the first Cunha. He's your hero. You've got posters on your wall, as we can see behind. Everyone on YouTube.
Yeah, I've got my my signed frame photo here somewhere, to be fair. I can't find it at the minute. Yeah, it was all a mess, wasn't it? I mean, the first, I know I've got this agenda against Cunha, but the first question I asked was why was he so deep? Why did he need to pick the ball up on the other? That was the first question. Away from me not liking him anyway, I would have said the same if Guedes was there. You know what I mean? Why the hell was he coming so deep on the edge of his own box to pick the? I know for me, I feel like he's trying to overplay now, knowing that he's got this move to United. He's probably got United fans looking at him. He's trying to big himself up for the move. Trying to show that he's got a different side to his game by picking the ball up deep. But he's never done that, has he? Since he's been here, he's never been picking up the ball that far, and he's been caught out. And then for me, it was his reaction afterwards. If that was any other player, he would be screaming his head off at these players. No one said anything to him. It's like he got away. He got away with it, and everyone let him get away with it as well. No one had a moan at him. He's done it. He's walked away. I think he apologized to Sarr. And that was it. If it was anyone else, he would have been blown his head off. And, he's a bit of a shit show all around, to be honest.
Yeah. And with that, Stu, I mean, congratulations to Danny Welbeck on getting 10 goals in the season for the first time ever in the league. I mean, that's a bit of a shocker, really, isn't it? With the hype that's been around him for his career.
I couldn't believe that. I thought if that would have been a quiz question, you would not have said Danny Welbeck hadn't scored 10 league goals in a season before. I mean, how old is he now? 33? Something like that?
Mm-hmm.
34, yeah.
and he's always been there. He's always performed wherever he's been from his all-round game point of view. And yeah, he's had his injuries and whatever, but that's mental to me. I mean, there's got to be. I mean, that's got to be league. I'm guessing that's the league goals because he's got to have a few in the cups as well. It's a great penalty. I mean, Saar very rarely saves penalties anyway, does he? So he's just, you don't expect anything less. But I know they made a point on Match Today after about that. But was double jeopardy in play there because for how badly he hacked him down, his other leg was on his knee. And you think, you've obviously gone for the ball, but you've obviously realised you fucked up again, and you're going straight through it. So. I mean, it would have been nicer to see him sent off because we wouldn't have to deal with him ever again then. But
does he get that sort of protection that forwards get? So when you say the old 90s saying of like a striker's tackle, do you think he gets away with it because he's a forward?
Probably, yeah. I mean, it didn't look that bad in real time. No. I never even considered it until they mentioned it on Match Today anyway. But it's just one of them things, like Gav said, like, why is he there? It's like it's proper main character energy again. Like, he hasn't had a touch of the ball for 5 minutes. He's got to go and get it himself rather than just leave things alone. You've got players who are better than that at receiving the ball there, like Andre and Joe Gomez, who've done it all season long. And yet he has to go and get involved, and he's fucked it up, and we lost the game because of him again. And it wasn't even a case of, let's just talk about Cunha again. But what else did he do? Like he had a couple of decent passes through again, and like the one that Guedes missed before this happened anyway, which he probably should have buried. And if he was match fit, he probably would have done. Yeah. But again, he was non-existent. He was. I mean, you're supposed to be vice captain. You lead from the front. Blah blah blah. He didn't do anything. Nothing at all.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that leads me on nicely. I mean, Danny Paletti, fan of the show as always, put a nice comment in there saying, somebody tell me how singularly important Cunha is towards success. I mean, with that, Rich, I mean, in terms of myself, I always like to talk about balance in teams and how Wolves set themselves up. We saw sort of when he was out the side that Wolves actually looked a lot more cohesive. And I think as Stu said, then when he picked the ball up and gave away the penalty, you expect somebody like a Joao Gomez, Agbadou, Andre to be picking that ball up there. Is there a case now that Wolves are going to be stronger next season without Cunha because we're going to be more balanced? And I think, is there too much on him from outside the club and people blowing smoke up his ass when he's really not that important to Wolves' success this season?
I'm on the fence on it. I know as much as us lads don't really like him because he's frustrations in football, but the quality is undoubtedly there for him to play football at a higher level, that's for sure. And it's a shame we can't offer it at the club, and that's the way it is. And he's going to go and do something else for another club. Good luck to him. Do what he does. He scores goals for us, and he has done for the last, couple of years. And he just is one of those enigmas that has a real hot spout, and then those games where he is ice cold, he's jogging around for 78 minutes of the game. I say jogging, that's a loose term for walking and not doing much. Doesn't look interested. And then the average fan just thinks that's just him. And it is him, but that's not going to cut it at the top level, which is why it didn't really work at another club he was at last time. So, if you want to be one of the powerhouse teams and go get him, good luck to him. But I just don't see it works anywhere else. And yes, we may miss him next year with the goals because, again, taking goals out, someone's got to come in and score those goals. Who that'll be? No idea, but hopefully we can find a rabbit out the hat somewhere and bring someone in. But I think we will miss him for sure. I won't miss this kind of the 7-8 games a year he's going to get banned because he's frustrated and he's kicked out, he's headbutted. He's done things you think, well, you don't need to do that. You're so good. You probably could have scored another 5-6 goals this year again. But again, in his purple patch when he's playing well, he's suspended against teams where you think he probably would score more goals too. So he's just a frustrating footballer, but the talent is 100% there. But we'll sing his name still. It is what it is. But I don't think some of us will miss him as much as we would have thought of, a year or so ago, scoring those goals before and doing his dances at the Albion and that. It's good memories, but unfortunately they fade along with the attitude that he has faded pretty quickly. So on to the next one, basically.
Yeah, I think there's a massive amount of recency bias when it comes to Cunha, and I think when we look back on it, and Maybe in the future, maybe not. Maybe people won't, but I think quite a few people will look back at it and go, "Yeah, okay, he did good things, but the balance of what he did and what he did badly, it's not going to be great. It's not going to look good on his CV." Stu mentioned it earlier about going into the second half. We all thought there were going to be changes, but seeing 4 at one time for a Wolves side, Gav, it's a bit unprecedented, and I think that kind of set the tone for how Vitor Pereira, what he thought of the performance. So he looked very animated on the bench. He, for one, was somebody who is very desperate to keep winning games, and I'm sure the players are as well. But he looked very focused on the bench. I mean, seeing 4 subs come on and big name players as well, Jorgen Strand Larsen coming back into the side. It's a big call from Vitor Pereira, isn't it?
Yeah, I think at the time, the game had died to death a little bit. I think the energy had gone, the tempo had gone. So I think that there was an injection in the game was needed, to be fair, and it had to be from us, being the home team. I think you could question some of the subs. I didn't feel like Menezzi had a very good game. I felt like even though Cunha, he hadn't contributed, at least if you keep him on the pitch, he can pull something out of nothing. So I would have actually kept Cunha on and took Menezzi off at the time. But it was nice to see because it showed that he was still, even though we were 1 down, he was still chasing the game. He still wanted to get something out of the game. He wasn't doing it to give people minutes. He was doing it to chase a result. So as mad as it looked, I wasn't totally against it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I get that, and that makes a lot of sense. And we saw the players come on. They made it sort of an instant impact in terms of the tempo. I mean, Jorgen Strand Larsen doing his usual Stu, where he's trying to G up the south bank, throwing his arms up in the air, trying to get the noise going. It was all a flash in the pan, wasn't it? I mean, with as fast as the tempo came, it disappeared straight away. And I think the one player who is probably the heart of that issue was, and I always back him up on most time, but Pablo Sarabia, I think he killed the tempo in that game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, he hasn't got tempo anyway, has he? I mean, at the best of times, but him coming on and doing what he does, it's not what you need. It's not what you want. But that's the situation we find ourselves in, that we don't have that many options to change a game with pace, which is going to need to be addressed in the summer. Well, who knows? But yeah, I mean, Strand Larsen, there's just something about him. I think we obviously missed him at Man City with a focal point up there. We obviously missed him in the first half with Guedes not performing. But then he's come on, and after 5 minutes, it's as dead as anything else. And everyone else who's just come on the pitch looked like they've ran through treacle. And it's like, how is this happening? How is it possible? It's like you're supposed to be fresh. You're supposed to be trying. You're supposed to be running. And I'm not getting on the heat thing again, but it was just odd. But it was the same for Brighton. Brighton couldn't be asked either, and they've got something to play for. So it was just a genuinely very confusing day. But you look at things where, is Strand Larsen fit? Is he, if he's coming on in that situation and then he's only giving 5 minutes, and we know he doesn't tear into corners and anything either, and that's Menezzi's job. But even he didn't do anything yesterday. Even he wasn't doing his usual things. And he pressed a couple of times to get some kind of result. And we all know what Brighton keepers are like under pressure sometimes. We didn't do it enough. And when you've got players like that are in the team for that reason, and they don't do it consistently and constantly, it's not going to work. And yet, when you got someone like Sarabia who's going to ping it around as slow as he was, you're not going to get anything at the game, are you? So it was bizarre. I've never seen a substitutions like that make so little impact, taking away the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, and within that, we saw Menezzi get pushed deeper again, as we saw in previous games, Rich, and it doesn't. I don't think it quite works, because if you put Menezzi deeper, the game sort of bypasses him, because he doesn't have the ability of Joe Gomez or Andre, and I mean that's no dig at him personally. But when the game needs to be controlled and we need to build from the midfield, and we're getting a lot of turnovers, I think that's probably the other thing that killed the game and killed all the tempo for us, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, well, he obviously he's putting him in there for legs, and he just because he knows he's going to run around all day and night. He doesn't seem to get tired. I don't know why he's not a runner, to be honest, rather than a footballer. But I can't. Yeah, I know the end product hasn't been there through the year, but you can't. The effort and the hustle he brings is pretty unbelievable, to be honest with you. Yeah, it's just if we can work on the end product, you've got a footballer for sure. But yeah, bringing him in, say it's legs to run around, maybe gives Gomez a touch of a break and Andre a break as such, rather than them chasing constantly. But just changes everything as a dynamic. So you were saying before with Larson, a link up with Cunha, it works and has been working quite well. But obviously, when one of those or both of them are missing, it's kind of tricky to see what's there. And yeah, Manetzi is not anywhere near as a forward as such. But yeah, you say the effort and hustle, I can't disagree with it. It's pretty good from him, to be honest.
Yeah. And I'll make a quick point. I don't really want to talk about the second goal. The second goal, we were just pushing it, kind of getting through, and so I was beaten a little bit easily, I think. But I don't want to dig too much into it. But I will say, I come to you, Gav, on this one. I mean, in your time as a Wolves fan, you've not seen sort of the quality that an academy can bring to Wolves, and you haven't seen a lot of academy graduates come through.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
And to see Matheus Mane get a start, were you happy to see somebody who's come through the academy? And it's good to you're happy to see him get some minutes on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're crying out for a youngster to break through into the team, aren't we? Now, I think you could kind of say Bono's one that's come for the academy and after gone into the first team, him and Kilman. But we do need that that Saka, that Anthony Gordon at Everton. We need that one that can come through and actually claim a position in the team. I don't think we've ever had that since Gibbs White came through, didn't really get a chance. He's gone to Forest. We need our wonder kid, our star boy, so to speak. And I'm hoping it's him. We see the clips of the academy Twitter account. He scores for fun, doesn't he? At that level, every week, every time they're playing the game, he's always on the score sheet. And to be honest, when he played, he was very composed. I know he didn't do much, but he wasn't scared to attempt to run at someone. But he was calm on the ball. He never lost possession. And that's what you want to do in your first game. You just don't want to do anything wrong. Instead of doing a lot of things right, you just don't want to do anything wrong. But now, hopefully, Pereira's already said that he wants him in the first team next season. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yeah, and a comment that I just put up there from Max Wright talking about bravery. I mean, Stu, there's not many better things that you can do when you make a Wolves debut than fly through the air and get a flying header to throw yourself straight into the game, is there?
I mean, he how young he is because he didn't have the sponsor on his shirt. But he looked about 25 years old. Just his build and his composure. And like you just said, coming on and doing that straight away, absolutely no fear whatsoever. And it's what you want. And like we've had him in the past, especially after last season's farce when we had no one there and you were playing kids who were nowhere near good enough. And you can see the difference. And you can see that there's a massive level jump there. And they look scrawny and they don't look right and they don't look built for the Premier League. And they'll play the safe pass and they'll look for angles and stuff like that, but they won't try things. Mane came on and he looked like he was a player. And you don't get that very often, especially not here, like Gav's just said. We haven't seen that for a long time. And it was his physicality more than anything else that I was impressed with. And the fact that he was willing to use it and not kind of shirk away and he was looking to be involved. I was very impressed.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, the situation with the academy, Rich, it's not ideal. We could have lost our Category 1 status until recently. I mean, the focus in the news that we talked about in the previous review show about Wolves wanting to change the way that it's done and bringing in people who could potentially change the way that the academy's run. Do you think the focus from Fosun, try saying that when you're drunk, the focus from Fosun needs to be changed in terms of what they want to do in self-sustainability, to focus more on the academy and bringing through young players and developing these players? That's their future and that's what they need to do.
Well, it is the future to most clubs, to be honest. Southampton have dined up on it for 25 years. You can do that as a club. Brighton are doing it as a model. They're bringing in through academy and selling players for a huge amount of cash. There's no reason why we can't do the same thing. But do we want to do that? We don't. We want to bring superstar kids into the academies, make them better if possible, or at least break into the first team to make us as a squad better. But it doesn't look like the club really are interested in academy. They're definitely not interested in the women's game, as we obviously know last week. But it's just strange. I don't really know the model that the club actually want to run with. We obviously want to make money. Yeah, great, fine. But you're obviously making the ticket prices, astronomical last season. Well, for this season, sorry, but at least they're freezing for next. But I don't see, again, this man, he might turn out to be an absolute wizard, but we've had false dawns of these £100 million players we were going to have coming out of academies before. And it's just hope the kid prevails, he performs, he gets a chance, as Gav said about Gibbs White. Gibbs White's proven himself, unfortunately, now how good he could be. If we can give these people a chance in the first team or around the squad, there's no reason why they can't produce more in the Prem or good cup runs and give them a chance. Because we haven't seen a lot of even Lima. He's technically been through in our academy such to learn. He's not really doing much around the first team, but we've just got to hope we have got the quality in that reserve setup in the under-21s, through the academies into the 10s, 12s, 13s, whatever. But it's all hope, isn't it? It's long gone are the days where we've got Lescott, Naylor, Murray, people like this, and Proudlock, laughably, and kids coming through because oh god, they're actually quite good. They can perform. Maybe not last for us as a first team because they get sold, but it's the inevitability of our club, unfortunately, isn't it?
Yeah, I won't have you disparaging Adam Proudlock without. There's a game we won 1-0 away at Nottingham Forest, and he scored the only goal. That's the number one Proudlock memory that is, Stu.
Well, it's not.
You'll remember that. You'll remember that.
I'll remember it, but it's not the number one memory. As people can go back and find out. I don't think. Yeah, we've talked about this before. Let's not do it again.
I won't dig in too much to it, but obviously we're sort of hinting about things, Gavin, and moving towards next season.
Yeah.
Looking at the way that the squad's sort of shifting, if you were to have a magic wand now and to say, okay, Cunha leaves, maybe another couple, where would you be looking in terms of positions, and what sort of profile player would you be looking at to bring in to fit what Vitor Pereira wants to do? Who would be your magic wand? Sort of like you can either name a player or just a sort of profile of one.
Position-wise, it's going to be the number 10, isn't it? Minetsi's as well as he's done, and he's been important in the wins that we've had recently. I think going forwards, I wouldn't see him as a starting number 10 on either side of the striker. So for me, and Cunha's going, Guedes is going, Sarabia is going, Bellegarde's doing a job, but I still think we can improve there. So I think for me, the number 10 position, either side of the striker, I think we need to spend a decent amount of money on a high quality number 10. That's going to replace Cunha's goals. For a name, I couldn't really give you one. I'll be quite honest. I think Whistle would have been good. I know we were linked with him at the start of the season. I don't think we'll can't imagine we'll go in and get him now after the season that he's had. But I think he'd be perfect on the side of a Strand Larson. But yeah, off the top of my head, I couldn't really give a player. I'll be honest.
That's fair enough. I mean, sort of looking at the squad, Stu, for you. I mean, where would you be looking? Are you looking the number 10, or you think the Wolves should be developing sort of wingers and bringing in pace from the width to play to the strengths of Jurgen Strand Larsen?
I mean, wingers and two strikers would be my dream, wouldn't it? But I mean, if we're going to play with this two number 10s kind of thing, kind of hybrid wingers at the same time. I mean, someone's mentioned Enciso there. I mean, he'd be perfect, wouldn't he? Someone like that. And that's kind of what Cunha's been as well. As much of a pain in the arse he is, that he has been a brilliant position for us. And when he's not been in, we have had to adapt the system to. Going other, for name wise though, I mean, the only people who know who we're going to be ringing is like Dean, who watches this stuff from over there, because it's going to be exactly that kind of thing. Relative unknowns between 15, 20 million quid, 3 or 4 of them, whack them in, maybe 2 work, rinse and repeat every transfer window. Definitely front 2, Matt. If we've got enough money left, another striker is kind of obvious. We only have Strand Larsen, and is Sasha going to work? Is he going to be made of poppadoms this year, or is he going to be like that glass that they use for wine bottles in films? It's getting worse every year. So you're looking at a new striker. You're looking at wide forwards. You're probably looking at a wing back as well, maybe especially on the left hand side, presuming Aït-Nouri goes. I think weirdly enough, central midfield for Wolves is actually fine, which we haven't said very often. But that's one area, and defence I wouldn't touch, because we've got more than adequate cover there. So if you're focusing your transfer doings, unless you're getting someone like Andre who you can't miss out on, and then you're a moron, you don't play him, then you do something like that. But that'd be mine. A wing back of some form, 2 attacking 10s/wingers, and another striker.
Yeah, I think so. I think a player I would have liked to have seen, but it's an impossibility now. So if it was sort of a transfer where no holds were barred, I'd love Sorloth to play up front with Jurgen Strand Larsen. I know he's crap at Crystal Palace, but he is an absolute unit for Atletico Madrid. And
4 yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, he got 3 in like 5 minutes. It's like a hell of a hat trick. One hell of a player. We've sort of talked about players coming in, Rich, but Stu alluded to it there, that we're kind of overstocked in terms of central midfielders, and a couple of players who would be on the lips of quite a few fans are Tommy Doyle and Boubacar Traore. I mean, where do you think their sort of futures lie? I mean, Tommy Doyle, he was important last season, but he's suffered with the fact that Andre's come in, and we've got better players there now. But do you think that we could see either or leave the club in the summer with Boubacar and Tommy?
Yeah, I think both go, don't they? They want to play football. I don't know, obviously Boubacar's had an injury, but obviously Tommy hasn't, and I think he's going to want to play. Maybe if Sheffield come up again, they might have a chance to do that. But yeah, I think they both go. I also think Aït-Nouri will probably go as well. So with Cunha going, Sarabi going, Guedes going, Fabio Silva going, there's a shift in the power as such where there's a bit more financial push maybe because the wage budget's just been obliterated over the last 3-4 years on big transfers that haven't necessarily worked. So yeah, I think the wage budget would be the big cap right now. Maybe we might be able to spend a bit more money because the wages aren't 80-90 grand a week on someone that's absolutely dog shit, to be honest. And there's a few of them players at the club still. But I feel sorry for Tommy. Tommy Doyle's he's quality. He looks great. I think he's performed relatively good in the positions he's had a chance at. But for some reason, he don't fit that system for us. So good luck to him. Hopefully he moves on, gets a decent move and stays in the Prem. Proves us wrong, really. But for Traore, again, it's a bit of reminds me a bit of Manetti, really. He comes off the bench. He's going to get a booking. He flies around. He works his ass off when he's on the pitch, but there's not much else there to offer this club right now, I don't think, and not from my perspective anyway. It's a shame, but it's another one that will probably be gone. But yeah, can we keep Semedo as well? We're going to be able to keep him. Who knows? But again, if we don't, that's another massive wage budget off the list. So, yeah, really, it's all for nothing, really, considering the fact that we are losing probably 7-8 players off the list that are on well over 60-70 grand a week. So, yeah, might have some cash to spend.
He's done it down here, ain't he?
But yeah, he has done it down. But yeah, sort of, it will be a sort of a busy summer, you expect. And I think the one player you mentioned there, Nelson Semedo, I think a lot of fans are now wanting him to stay. I mean, he's done a fantastic job as captain, Gav, and sort of the rise and sort of Guedes has had a bit of a remontada, but he definitely has Semedo. And since he's took this leadership role on, keeping him going into next season, it feels more crucial and more important because for the first time since sort of Ruben Neves and Connor Cody before that, because as much as Cody's not a great footballer, he's a good captain. Though having these captains beforehand, it's important to keep Nelson at the club because having this sort of leadership role, it's going to be difficult to replace if he goes on a free, isn't it? I know you've done it, so we're all doing it. For anyone not just on YouTube,
I think that's the first time I've done that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Cunha wouldn't do that,
mate. I wish you did. I think you did. No, I think with Nelson, since we all saw the shit show that started at what happened at the start of the season with Lamina. 6 games in, and it was against Liverpool. He was crying his eyes out on the pitch. That was the worst. That was the first red flag for me. As a captain, to show that emotion straight away. But then the other question is okay, if Semedo does go, who would be the captain? It would have been Cunha. Cunha's gone. Would it be João Gomez potentially? I don't know. Agbadu would probably be it'd probably be Agbadu that would come in and step in straight away. But I think from a transfer point of view, I think, as we've already explained, we've got a lot to do in the summer, haven't we? With the number 10s, potentially a wing back if Ait-Nouri goes. We're losing a lot of players as well. Wang will probably go, Guedes, Sarabia, Fabio. So for me, I just feel like that's it. It's an easy thing that we can resolve. It's in our hands, isn't it, really, if we want to resolve the Semedo situation. It's just one less headache, isn't it? It's just one less headache to deal with in the summer. Just get it sorted, get him in, sign him up, and then you ain't going to worry about wing back, have you? Because at least you've got him, you've got Lima, and then worst case scenario, you've got Doc, and then you've always got Rodrigo Gomez can play there as well. So, but Semedo would be the first choice out of all of them. So let's get him signed up and then, focus on all the other positions.
Yeah.
Even if it's...
Go on, mate. No, you go.
I was going to say, even if it is just like 1 year with an option in Semedo's favour or something like that, not a long-term deal, just because you have got Rodrigo, you have got Lima coming through as well. And it is just a little bit too early for them. When obviously if Semedo does leave, then they're going to be thrown in there, unless you're playing Doc there. But he obviously hasn't got the legs anymore to do that position full term. But yeah, I think that'd be perfect. Like 1 or 2 years of Semedo where the understanding is in the second year he's probably going to play less. Yeah. He'll be on better money than he's on anywhere else. So even if it is a quarter less than what he's on now, so it wouldn't surprise me. I just hope we're not stupid enough to go and give him 3 or 4 years or something like that. Yeah. I don't think they would. For once. I mean, I'm going to say for once, I don't think they are. That's stupid.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask, what do you reckon we'll do about the goalkeeper situation? Because we've got, obviously King is never going to play. Bentley was going to move, didn't get a move. Johnston wants to move. And obviously Sarr nearly got a move. So we've got 4 keepers that potentially none of them want to be. I know Sarr's performed, but...
Well, I think Sarr will stay. I think Pereira's probably stuck with Sarr now. And to be honest, I'm not Sarr's biggest fan, but he hasn't really put a foot wrong in this.
He hasn't been too bad to be
He hasn't really had any howlers or anything. I think Pereira's maybe, even to be fair, even playing out from the back. I know he had a bit of a scare one of the weeks recently.
He can't click, mate.
But he is getting better. He is getting better at finding Andre in the middle of the pitch. Yeah, he's doing it more often now, and that's the only thing that he was missing really for me. So if he can just work on that and start getting the ball to Andre, because Andre is always there as an option to start to build from the back. I'd be more than happy to keep Sarr. Again, it's another position that you don't want to have to worry about in the summer.
No, we just need someone to push him, don't we? That's what my worry is, that he can sit back a little bit like he did last year and make a few mistakes and not be replaced as such. But it's just it's my concern for the year really is that. Really.
No, that's fair. Yeah.
I've said it when he was in the team of the year as well. Sam Tickle at Wigan, he's going to be brilliant. England under 21 keeper, he's superb. Is he out of our price range? Probably, and that's going to be the biggest problem. Where do you find someone when we got Sarr pretty much on the cheap anyway in the first place? Where are you going to spend? Where you ain't going to get anyone to his level, if you take all the nonsense of the start of the season away, especially since Pereira's come in, he's probably in the top 10 keepers in terms of post-shot expected goals and all that kind of stuff. Because he hasn't really done any of his silly moments for a long time. Yeah, that missed clearance yesterday, but again, that was someone else's fault first, and no one mentions the first part. It's just because Sarr did it spectacularly badly. But I'd keep Sarr, keep King for the Bants, and then you're looking for someone else who is just going to actually maybe be a succession plan, maybe get someone in like that.
The two biggest problems with that, Stuart, I think, is that if you do lose Bentley and Johnson goes, because Johnson is going, you lose two homegrown player slots, and that's a massive on that squad, isn't it?
Doyle and Dawson as well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going shopping in the Championship or League One for an up and comer, because you are ticking the homegrown tax there.
Yeah. I mean, Alex Palmer probably would have been a good one, but he's just gone to Ipswich. I think he's a good goalkeeper. You saw it straight away as soon as he come into Ipswich. He was better than Muric. I mean, anyone's better than Muric. anyone with hands is better than Muric. But you've got to look at it. I mean, you talk about bringing it with Jose Sarr on a cheap. I mean, we look to Olympiacos for that. I think that's where we've got to be looking. Tottenham did that when they bought the goalkeeper in January. They bought it someone quite cheap, relatively cheap from lower leagues in Europe, and that's where that scouting network's got to come in, and that's where Folsom have got to do their work, and that's where they've got to expand it, and that puts a lot of pressure on them, and that's where we need to be in the summer and doing a lot of work to expand that network and try and find these golden gems. But everyone's doing it, and that's the problem is because everyone's doing it, it makes it exponentially harder. Sort of enough about the game. I'll move on to, obviously, we've got our charity game coming up soon. Myself will be taking part. Rich and Gav will be there having their first experiences. We're raising money this year for the Good Shepherd, which is a local charity to Wolverhampton, doing very good things for the local community, helping out those who are in need, whether it be through food banks, through supporting people get back into work, supporting people with their mental health, and building it back up. And as much as we've done good things with Mind in the past, and Mind do fantastic things, having something local like the Good Shepherd is a very, very important for us, because a lot of us guys are from Wolverhampton or the surrounding area. So to see the good work that they do within our community and the people that we love is very, very good. I sort of want to talk to you, Rich, first. It's going to be your first one. I mean, you're pretty much nailed on a starter with where you play. Fingers crossed. I mean, let me know how are you. You've already told me personally that you're a little bit nervous. I mean, it's going to be as Molyneux, but you must be looking forward to it now.
Oh, absolutely buzzing, mate. Yeah, to be fair, like it's a childhood dream for anyone that supports a football club to play on a pitch. Yeah, I guess as a kid you wanted to play for Wolves or such is a bit different, but yeah, to get on a pitch, even though you do your tours, you sit in the stands, you watch the games, you always think, oh, I wonder what the carpet's really like down there, what it likes to feel like. But yeah, it's going to be terrific, hopefully. Just a nice day out, Friday evening in the sun at Molyneux. What more do you want in life, really? Yeah, it's great. Bit of support with the lads. Fantastic.
Yeah, and with that in mind, I mean, I think there will be stuff going on social media about tickets and the like. It will be 30th of May at 7 p.m. kickoff. It's a 90-minute game this year, so I think some of us are going to be dead by the end of it. Talking about useful injection, I mean, Gav, it's your first one as well. Do you have nervous trepidation? Being on that pitch where Cunha's done amazing things, are you going to show us that Brazilian flair come May 30th?
I'll make him look average. That's what I'm going to say.
That's big words, that is. If you not make Gully, I'll be happy about it. Let's just.
You know what? I think as long as one of us does that, I think that'll be a win by itself, won't it? To be fair,
definitely.
No, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward. It's one of those where like Rich was saying, you sit there in the stands. I think the question I've always asked is how big the distance is from the corner flag to the actual. If you want to try and put a corner in. Because it doesn't from where I sit, it doesn't look that big, but I can imagine it's miles away.
Yeah.
So I think even before the game, I'll probably have a walk down, to be fair, just to see how big it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought when you said I wonder how big it really is, and you were talking about Cunha, I thought it was something completely different.
Different show, mate.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh my. But yeah, obviously, if you are interested, keep it out on social media. We're raising money, obviously, as well. We've got a goal on there. We're quite a way through it already. Really proud of everyone who's given what they have so far. But underneath this video on YouTube, obviously on our social media, there'll be links to sort of the Just Giving sort of page. I'm not sure on the exact name of the website off the top of my head, but that will be there. Please give it a go. Share it. Even if you can't give to the cause, sharing on social media and pushing it to your friends and to family, it's much appreciated, and that gives us traction to be able to do wonderful things like this and raise money for local charities going on and forward into the future. And hopefully we will have some news soon on and I said this last week, but I'll say it again, some news on potential special guests. They are in the pipeline, and as soon as it's all confirmed from our end, we will be putting it out there, and hopefully it'll be exciting for you guys who are coming to watch and potentially being involved in the game as well. As always, I like to talk about and be a shill, because I am a shill. Wolves Fancast have brought out new merch this season. If you are interested in purchasing some fantastic designs, you can go to wolvesfancast.tmall.com. We quite regularly have deals on there for UK buyers for shipping. So do keep an eye on that with our social media. I know we had one last weekend. I'm sure there'll be another one coming up soon. So that's wolvesfancast.tmall. That's TEEMILL.com. Sort of wrapping it up. I always like to do man of the match, but it didn't feel like there was one yesterday. I mean, I'll throw my 2 pence in straight away before I come to you, Stu. And I think the only man who sort of comes out with a massive credit out of that game, Emmanuel Agbadou again.
Yeah, even after he had his little moment where he kicked it in for a corner for no reason at all. Yeah, I mean, he's just a colossus, isn't he? I mean, the fact that Andre literally ran himself into the ground and had to come off. He was that knackered, which again kind of goes against what we've said about how the intensity in that game wasn't quite there, but for some of them it clearly was. But yeah, it was very much a non-entity of a performance from pretty much everyone. But yeah, Agbadou, he's just there, isn't he? I mean, he's going to be, spoiler alert, he's going to be my player of the season when the voting comes out. I ain't giving it to the obvious for obvious reasons. But even if he did take his goals away and whatever, I think Agbadou's been transformational. And he was head and shoulders again yesterday. Superb. Yeah.
Are you in the same ilk, Rich, or do you think? I think Totti Gomez as well probably could be in there. You thinking maybe just the defenders?
Totti's improved 100% wise. Yeah, his game's gone to another level. He's still got a Cruyff turn in that absolutely scares me, witless out of me. But that's him. That's who he is. But he does make up with his absolutely extraordinary pace he seems to have. But I think the signing we've again of the season really for us is that Agbadou one. He's transformed that position. We genuinely look solid. Like even at City the other day, I don't think we were really pushed. He looks like he is a Rolls Royce, and I know that's used quite often around him, but he looks so settled. He brings the ball out. He tracks. He's absolutely hard as nails. He wins everything. Yeah, it's just absolute masterstroke of a job getting him in, to be honest. And yeah, maybe we have a few more genius switches like that where we can bring someone like with his effort and his hustle that he's bringing in. So yeah, Agbadou for me, yeah, for sure, yeah.
And Gav, do you want to go full house? Go Agbadou, complete glazing session here.
Yeah, I think like you said, and like yourself, there wasn't many people to pick from. I think Andre played quite well, in my opinion. But yeah, Agbadou is, like Richard said, since he's come in, he's complete. He's saved us, hasn't he? As much as Cunha's, with his goals has come in and won some points. Him coming in, did we even keep a clean sheet under Gary O'Neill the whole of this season? maybe Southampton at home, maybe was the only one. And then since he's came in, we've looked so much better. You'd have to compare him to when Dawson came in and the impact that he had straight away in that January. and it's really exciting to see how he gets on next season. But yeah, Agbadu for me.
I mean, remember, we conceded 40 goals in 16 games under Gary O'Neill.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Set pieces. What happened with all this bullshit at set piece? We conceded every set piece before. As soon as he came in, we conceded one. Not of them we have.
Yeah.
So, and that's a Pereira thing and a Gary O'Neill thing as well, to be fair, more than anything. But it'll be interesting to see next season what the back three is going to look like. Is it going to be Doc, Mosquera? Will they get someone else in? Because I think Totti's nailed his place down, hasn't he, on the left side?
Yeah.
Agbadu in the middle. You're just looking at that right. I mean, to be honest, I've quite enjoyed Doc being there. But I think that's still up. He's all right for a stopgap. I wouldn't mind him there, but I think that is a position where you could look to find someone the next level above that, and that might be Mosquera potentially. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they get on with that next year.
Yeah, most definitely. With that, as always, thank you for everyone who's joined us tonight to talk about the game, talk about everything that's going on around Wolves. Appreciate you coming on, Stu, Rich, Gav, as always. That was your Wolves Fancast review show in association with the Sports Social Podcast Network, FC Quiz.app, and the Boston Coffee and Vending Company. Until next time, catch you for... I don't think we're doing any preview shows for the rest of the season, but we were doing review shows, so we'll catch you with the Crystal Palace, Brentford review shows, and I think we're doing a review show at the end of the season where we're going to talk about some of the fantastic moments that we've had under Vitor Pereira, maybe the less so fantastic ones under Gary O'Neill and his 14 cups of tea. But thank you, everyone, as always. Until next time, stay awesome. Love you all.